Three tomatoes are walking down the street. Papa tomato, mama tomato, and baby tomato.
Playing Catch-Up presents.
Starring Lindsay Hinkle and Jamie Nelson.
So this is Playing Catch-Up, is it? I prefer something with a little more kick.
Everybody's favorite condiment-themed entertainment podcast.
Put some hot sauce on my burrito, baby!
Hot sauce.
Nobody puts ketchup on a hot dog.
You're listening to Hot Sauce on PlainKetchup.com. I'm your host, Jamie Nelson, and with me, my co-host, Lindsay Hinkle.
So as you introduced yourself, a funny little side note here, I totally expected you to say, I'm your host, Lindsay Hinkle, and introduce me as Jamie Nelson.
Oh, let's do that next. So how are you feeling, Jamie?
East Coasty there, Lindsay.
Oh, does that feel creepy to you?
It feels really weird.
Ugh.
Let's not do that.
I don't like it. You can be Lindsay again.
You're a lot better at being you.
I've had 26 years of practice.
I think Jimmy should do our next intro. Except we bought a new chair at St. Vinny's, and he just sits on it all the time. Even if there's another person sitting on it. He never used to be a lap cat, but if there's someone sitting in that chair, he'll sit on someone's lap instead of sitting on the couch.
If you have any insight, call in to the Plain Ketchup hotline.
Because we're obviously broadcasting live and taking calls. Hold on, let's see here.
Oh, we've got one blinking here, Lindsay. Pick it up.
I've got a listener. Okay, hello caller.
Hello,
What's your name?
Georgia Frederico.
Are you weighing in on the issue of the cat and the chair?
Yeah, I need a little more information. I'm kind of an expert in this field. It's a growing field, and
The growing field specifically devoted to cats and chairs.
oh yes, you'd be surprised at what you can find on cats and chairs and the relationship. It goes back thousands and thousands of years. But you know, back when they had chairs that didn't have legs on it, cats. I mean, that's where it all started. The strong relationship that's almost a kindred spirit between the chair soul and the soul of a cat. I mean, some people say that cats don't have souls, but you know, the chair thing, it just proves that cats have souls, doesn't it?
So what information do you need to know before you will be able to give me some insight as to why my cat loves this chair so much?
Two things. One thing I need to know about the chair. One thing I need to know about the cat. First of all, what is the make and model of the chair?
$25 thrift store find.
It's like a sort of a felty thing.
It's a suede imitation, I would say.
Would you say lazy boy?
I don't know if I'd put brand names on it, but pretty close.
All right. This isn't a lot to go on. To be quite honest, I'm used to something a little more professionally drawn up. But I'll do the best I can. The cat. Now, tell me.
Make and model of the cat?
No. This is a very delicate issue. How many times would you say per day that it defecates?
How exact of a number do you need? Can we just do a ballpark approximation?
We're talking in averages here, but even if you get it down to the nearest fourth decimal place, that should be close enough.
I'm thinking he goes in there around 2 to 3 times a day.
Now, suede typically it comes from cow hide, and back in the olden days in India, cats and cows had this special relationship with the sort of the gods of the land, and you see many times you would find a cow lying down with the cat in the pastures, and I feel that perhaps one of those cows and one of those cats were reincarnated into your sofa and your feline friend.
It's imitation suede. It's not actually made from a cow. It's synthetic.
Yes, but that's the thing about souls, isn't it? It's not about the physical being.
So souls can enter into lab-created materials?
Theoretically, a soul can enter into anything.
Does my book have a soul? I'm holding a book right now. Does it have a soul?
Well, many would say that trees have souls, so that's not even a difficult question. Would you say that your Kindle has a soul? It could. You know, from the silicon and the way that it represents a book which once was a tree. That sort of imitation can be considered to many cultures the same thing as a book, which is a tree.
Giorgio, What are your credentials?
Well, I went to veterinarian school for a year and a half before I was kicked out.
I think we need to hang up the phone, Jamie.
Yeah, Giorgio, thank you for calling, and we really take your insight to heart. Please don't call us again.
Thank you for taking care of that situation, Jamie.
We have very little interaction on the show with our audience. I think maybe we should have a screening. Oh, that means we need to have a producer. Hey, producer, come in here. Oh, hello again.
Giorgio is not our producer.
Get out. What have you done with Kevin, the producer?
I thought Jimmy was our producer.
That's right.
So enough of our incoherent rambling. Jamie, who do we have waiting for an interview today?
Well, Lindsay, it is Peter Trevino, singer-songwriter. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Hey, Peter.
Oh, the Spanish sun becomes you. It dances through your eyes. All the stories you had to tell. Now you are my life. I love you too. I look at you, the world goes quiet. Yet all my dreams I never knew. I look from you, I can't deny it. Suddenly my wish comes true. We're having tea in Barcelona at the place you really love, down by the sea. Just you and me.
All right, we are in the Skype studio with Peter Trevino. He just came out with a new record, his solo album called Freedom. Hi, Peter, how are you?
Hi, Jamie. I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So yeah, let's talk about the new album. It's called Freedom, available on iTunes, and people can also go to petertrevino.com.
That's correct.
The title Freedom, it's obviously also the name of one of the tracks. What is it about that song or about that word that sort of encompasses what this album is?
Overall, I think, that song is certainly emblematic of the overall feeling of freedom in general for me. The sense of freedom that making this album brought to me in my life, and the sense of freedom that I feel today by really letting myself be creative and write this music and record it and play it is there's no better way to live life, and I think that's probably what it is. And technically, I mean, you're really the first person who's asked that question. So,
I don't even know the answer to this question. Do you perform live at all, or are you like just strictly a studio singer-songwriter?
I do. I was approached about a year ago by the bass player on my album, who did most of the songs with me, Rodney Grant. Plays with jams and plays in a cover band on the side just for fun with some guys, and they invited me to come and play with them one night, and I said sure, it'd be a lot of fun, we'll come and jam, and we had such a great time. They said, hey, do you want to play out with us, and do some, and I said great, let's have some fun. So I've been doing that for about a year, playing in local clubs and things like that. But it's not only since the album came out, my album came out, have we started putting my music into our set. It's just been cover tunes of 70s and 80s songs.
What's your favorite one cover to play?
Lady Madonna.
Okay.
we kind of make it a point to play songs that most bands aren't doing out there. So like we do a version of Someone Saved My Life Tonight by Elton John. Nobody plays that live.
They're not going to be hearing Sweet Home Alabama.
No, they're not going to be hearing Sweet Home Alabama. No Leonard Skinner. But yeah, and I am actually in the process now of setting up the summer and fall dates for myself with my own band.
Sounds good. Well, speaking of traveling, you have a song called Tea in Barcelona, and I was wondering if you have any crazy, fun, or scary, or silly travel stories.
I've been to Turkey several times. I've been to Istanbul and Izmir and Gölcük and parts of Turkey 3 different times, and I love it there. So I mean, I don't know if there are no funny anecdotes, but I will say that it's one of the biggest surprises about Turkey is that it's Southern Europe. It's not the Middle East, and so many people, myself included, most of my life thought of it as the Middle East, and it's not. It's just such an extraordinary European city with culture like you can't believe. Have you ever been there?
I haven't.
It's great. I recommend it to everybody, and I would love to play there. Actually, I'm gonna write that note down. Istanbul.
must play turkey.
Yeah, must play turkey. But no, but the song Tia in Barcelona, though, was there are a couple songs on there that do come from my life, very personal songs, and that's one of them. And I wrote some liner notes for the record, and it was kind of a brief overview of where that song came from. But it really was a trip that my better half, Julian, and I took to Barcelona a few years ago. And we had just one of the most extraordinary historical trips ever, just going up and down the coast, and went down to Sitges, this little seaside village, and up to Figueres, where Salvador Dali is from, and visited the Dali Museum, and went to Girona, which is just this ancient fortress out in the middle of the countryside, this old Spanish fortress. And I love travel, I love history, I love what it means and what it can teach us.
You've mentioned Rodney, but who else is on your record? Because there are a lot of people involved.
Steve Ferroni played drums, bless his heart. Johnny Polanski did most of the guitar tracks, the lead and rhythm guitar tracks. J.D. Mata, who's a great musician and filmmaker out here, he played the acoustic guitar on one of them. Bruce Tells, who is actually an attorney here in Los Angeles, but went to the Berklee School of Music in Boston, is a phenomenal guitar player, and he did all the guitars on the first track on the album called Breathe. Tim Walker is a renowned pedal steel and lap steel guitar player. He played on several of the tunes. Rami Jaffe, who's with the Foo Fighters now and was with the Wallflowers as well, he played a Hammond organ on two of the songs for me. Working with each of these folks, because we didn't do it as a band. Originally, we were going to, but it didn't work out with Steve Ferroni's schedule because he had to go on tour, either with, I think it was the Straits, because he plays with the Straits, which is the Dire Straits, Sons Mark Knopfler, now the reformed band with other members of the band, and he's Tom Petty's drummer, and so he's either out with one of the two of them. So we started rehearsing to record as a band with just a few of us together. And then we realized we were on too much of a clock, so we went ahead and just recorded his drum tracks and built the songs around those. So I got to work with most of these people. Some of them did session work, and I wasn't in the studio when they did that, but most of them just getting to go and be there and watch them work and help them work and learn from them and see how their take on what I had written, my little songs, how they would come alive when they would add their parts to it would really change the direction oftentimes. So we'd put down a guitar track and put it into the mix, and all of a sudden I would just want to go in a whole different direction. So the next musicians who would come in to play would do something differently than they would have done otherwise earlier on.
I saw this term in your liner notes, a headphone record. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what that means. It's kind of a cool way to describe sort of the feel, not the genre, but the feel of the album.
Well, it is, and I don't mean it doesn't sound good on speakers really loud, because it does. It sounds great in the car too. But when Evan Frankfurt, who's a producer and a musician, who used to play with the Ginger Sauls and has produced just fantastic musicians for many years now. And he's a composer and just a wonderful guy. When we first met to talk about this, because he sort of helped guide me through the process and was my muse to put this all together, he heard about, 20 or more demos of what I thought I might want to record for the album. And he picked about a dozen of them with me, and he said, well, I'm gonna change your plans for you. You need to just make a record. And the way these songs are sounding to me, he said, they need to be an homage to the 70s, and make this a headphones record, the kind of record that you just want to close your eyes and put on headphones and just listen to it. And I loved that. So that kind of gave me the umbrella to the project, because that's what I grew up with, is just, I would just sit and listen to records, the old vinyls, right? The record needle, and listen to these albums and close my eyes and just be transported. And I'm certainly not going to be bold enough to say that my music's going to transport anybody, but it might, and
definitely.
I just tried to do my best to tip my hat to all the great musicians and songwriters who who gave me that opportunity by making music. They made music, I listened to it. Now I made music, maybe, some people will listen to it.
You mentioned sort of the song selection process. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about that process or what it is about the songs that ended up on the album that made them candidates and eventually the right choice.
We recorded 12 songs, and Evan had said, let's do this, and we're going to put 10 on the album, and eventually we'll know which 10 they are. 2 of them will fall away. And I didn't understand what he meant at the time, but he was right. I love the other 2 songs, but they just didn't work within the collection. And it's hard to explain why, but only in the end, when I heard everything mixed and mastered and the record was done, did I understand what Evan, in his infinite prescient wisdom, saw. Because I asked him why he thought we should do those 12 or 10, and he said they fit together. And he's right. I see that now, and I look at some of the other tunes that we didn't choose for this album that I may or may not record on the next one, but I look at those and I think, well, yeah, that would feel a little bit out of place here, although it's still me. It's all still me. The other thing about this album is these are more introspective songs than some of the others that are bigger and would have a lot of horns and a lot more arrangement to them.
I guess I wasn't even thinking about how they fit together. I was assuming that the process was which ones are the best and how you know which ones are the best. But it is interesting to hear that it is, putting them in the context of each other as if you are just sitting with your headphones on listening to the entire album in the order that you have it, which people don't do as much these days. If they buy a whole album, they might listen to it out of order. They might listen to the songs in their playlist with a lot of other albums. They might just pick their favorite ones and then put that into their playlist. So
yeah, I think most people too will, at least my friends, I'm certainly guilty of this myself. I'll get an album and find that the songs that I listen to the most, let's say there's 7 out of 10, I might pull those tunes just so when it keeps playing through, I'm hearing the things that I listen to the most. And it is no real judgment on those particular songs, just that when taking the time to hear the music, I guess people really want to hear what they want to hear when they can, and that's what this whole new music world allows people to do, is to have that completely customized listener experience. And I actually find it funny that you said, when people buy an album, they might not listen to it in the order it was tracked. I don't know how many people buy albums anymore. I think so many people are just listening to a single and downloading a single and hunting and pecking for the ones they want to hear. Yes, but everyone should buy my whole album, please. The whole thing.
yes, they should.
The whole thing.
Available at iTunes and petertrevino.com.
Yeah. You asked a question earlier that this just reminded me of something about the title for the album and the song order. When I had to come up with the order for the songs, because there's a whole registration process they have to go through, the international recording something, they have to get this code that's attached to them. It's all very technical and I'm too stupid to understand it all. But so I had to go through that process, but before they were mastered, they had to be put in order. And it was the weirdest experience for me to go through that process because it was so easy. I thought it would be so hard, and I just listened to the beginnings. I knew which one I wanted to put on first. I wanted Breathe to be first. It sort of needed to be, I thought the first song should be kind of emblematic of the sense of all the rest of the songs to come in some way, and not too specific in its genre. But beyond that, I listened to the last 10 seconds of the song and the first 10 seconds of the next one, and as long as they flowed together, it worked. And like everything in life, we just have to make a decision at some point in time. And so it took me about a half hour.
Wow. I remember watching long time ago a documentary of the band Bare Naked Ladies, and I remember watching them sort of pick both. I think they had about 15 songs, and they had to lop off 3 or 4, and then also picking the order and watching them, and I was like, this is so stressful. Just me as a viewer watching the documentary.
It can't be.
So, before we wrap it up, do you have anything else that you would like our listeners to know?
Not so much that I'd like to know, but to really thank everyone for taking the time to listen to independent music. You know, that as much as the world of music today is still filled with the traditional model of the music industry since it really began, that is there. It hasn't changed completely, but I think there is so much more room for independent artists with the technology and the mechanics of the digital age today. We can really do what I did, to self-produce and get out a really great album. I love what I did. I mean, I hope other people do, but I'm very proud of it. And to be able to do that and not have any constraints whatsoever except those that my own life would bring to the party is remarkable. And I think that the people who are listening to your show and other shows like it are really doing a great service to the artists out there who don't get to have a voice in the bigger picture. You know, I'm not, I haven't played on the Grammys yet, maybe next year, but there are so many of us and so many wonderful, wonderful songwriters and singers and musicians out there that don't have a voice, pardon the pun, in the big picture yet, but today we can find them. And I think it's really wonderful that anyone listening has taken the time to try and find some new music and other art as well.
Excellent, excellent. So everyone should go and pick up Freedom by Peter Trevino, and they can find you on Facebook and Twitter as well.
Correct. Follow me at Peter Trevino.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Peter.
Oh, thanks for taking the time.
All right, have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Take care.
We took the train from London. It rained a little there. Then we saw the Eiffel Tower in the summer Paris air. The sky so blue. Then dinner by the river. The city came alive. Our waitress was so funny. My French just wasn't right. I smiled at you. The taxi in the morning to the airport flight at 10. On our way to Southern Faces to meet some of our friends and make it new. Oh, the Spanish sun becomes you. It dances through your eyes. All the stories you had to tell. Now you are my life. I love you too. I look at you, the world goes quiet. And all my dreams I never knew. I look from you, I can't deny it. Suddenly my wish comes true. We're having tea in Barcelona at the place you really love, down by the sea. Just you and me. Now Coco Pelli played it easy. He showed us where to go. The wine, the fortress, the church, the people, everything we knew we had to do. The memories will last forever if we shout them to the sky and promise each other every day that we never wonder why we play the fool. Oh, the Spanish sun becomes you. It dances through your eyes. All the stories you have to tell. Now you are my just you and me. So many years behind us, we walked a million miles, tackled all the pains together. Let's rest a little while. We'll have some tea in Barcelona, at the place you really love, down by the sea. Just you and me.
This has been Hot Sauce, brought to you by PlainKetchup.com. Please subscribe, rate, and comment on iTunes. Check back every week for a new celebrity guest interview or hilarious video. You may also want to subscribe to our video channel on YouTube.com/PlainKetchup. Sign up for our newsletter on PlainKetchup.com. Please like us on Facebook.com/PlainKetchup. And follow us on Twitter @PlainKetchup. Don't forget to support this project by buying Plain Ketchup swag at our Cafe Press store. Have a question? Email Jamie and Lindsay at gmail.com. That's JAIME and LINDSEY at gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay saucy.
I'm thinking he goes in there around 2 to 3 times a day.
Okay. Now, I've forgotten the question, but...
You asked how many times he...
No, I've forgotten your question.
Oh. So why does my cat love this church
Okay.
so much? But I mean, Jimmy's a pretty decent cat. Shouldn't he reincarnate into something cooler? Something better? Something closer to godliness?
Well, I'm sure the next reincarnation he will, but I can't say that was that cool back in the day. If he is just still a cat.